Assalamu alaikum, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Acha, in previous class we discussed about the some important properties related to the maximum likelihood functions, and we discussed how the consumer or the decision maker maximizes his utility or minimizes his dispersion or the variance. Clear? So we discuss these. We pointed out that these kind of the properties are called. Sorry, these we discussed that these properties are called maximum likelihood preferences of consumer. Okay, in that maximum likelihood preferences means कि maximum likelihood preferences. Okay, what was the maximum likelihood preferences? According to the maximum likelihood preferences, we discussed that the objective of the consumer is to minimize the worst scenario. Okay, if you recall, those were present in my previous class. So minimizing the um, maximum loss कि what he may expect in case of lottery or the prospect. So now here there are some important things related to the decision makers. What were the decision maker? Believe that first of all, in uncertainty, in uncertainty, decision makers has different different objective, different objective at the time of decision. What are the objectives here? Number one, sometime he cares about, sometime he cares about value of prospect, value of prospect or lottery means कि which lottery pays highest value of probabilities, means probability. Okay, yes, recall it कि in initial lecture we pointed out कि decision maker just select the lottery on the basis of the value of the probability. Which lottery or the which prospect gives highest value of the probability, decision makers select that one. We discussed in the initial classes or the previous lectures. Now the second objective or behavior of the decision maker, objective or the behavior of the decision maker is that decision makers sometime he cares about value of payoff, value of payoff or outcomes, right? He does not care about the value of probability. Okay, he does not care about probability. Now in the third scenario, when we talk about the expected utility, so in case of the expected utility, he cares about both means ke he has in his mind ke what should be the value of the probability as well as what should be the outcome associated with that probability. So in case of expected utility, decision maker cares about outcomes and associated probability as well. Associated probability with outcome. Now, what is actually the expected utility function? First of all, whenever we have a concept of the utility function, to remember, it means that you have to define some binary relations. Without the binary relations, you cannot define the utility function. What is the binary relation? Means that every individual or the decision maker compares two bundle of choices, which one is better or which one is not. So that is called the binary relations. For example, here, what about the binary relations? For example, you have two choices of decision maker has two choices of lotteries. Okay, P and Q. That is P and Q. If we compare K, P is at least good as Q, implies that utility of P, that is equals to okay, P into value of P should be greater than equals to utility of Q, that is equals to summation of and Q into value of Q such that alpha belongs to 0 and 1. So this is kind of the expected utility function.
So this is divisions?
No, such that.
Okay.
This one is such that. Such that.
Is equal to summation.
Summation,
Zero. Subscript.
summation 0 and 1.
Subscript.
Z bundle of choices is a set of capital Z, all the outcomes. Okay, now, so there are some important properties related to the Axioms of expected utility function. Okay. Von Neumann Genster axiomatization. Okay. Von Neumann and Morgenstern axiomatizations. Okay. So whenever we discuss the concept of expected utility function, so there is the name of Von Neumann. He was actually the mathematician, and in the age of 19, yani in 1920 or in the age of 20 years, he got the degree of PhD in the field of mathematics. And he has very diversified work in different field in the computer science, mathematics, and chemistry as well. So initially, he introduced the concept of the game theory here. So whenever we will discuss about the game theory, then we will discuss the brief history of the Von Neumann and the Morgenstern. So now today we are just focusing about some important axioms because he derived the concept of expected utility function. Okay. Actually, one important thing is that whenever we talk about the utility functions, I have separate lecture related to the existence of the utility function. How you can prove that the utility function will exist here. There are some important assumptions related to the existence of the utility function. So that we will cover in consumer theory, and same kind of the concept we apply here. So now today we will not discuss the existence of the utility function. In coming class, maybe possible if we have time, so we will cover the existence of the utility function and in details of that topic. Because when we talk about the existence of the utility function or the utility function, we should know about the nature of function as well. Okay, because in microeconomic theory or in different macroeconomic theory, the nature of the functions or the concept of the function you should clear. Okay, I think you are familiar about maybe nature of function like homothetic, homogeneous, and or why we take the log of the function in case of the macroeconomic theory and the microeconomic theory. And similarly, we talk about the quasi concave and strictly quasi concave. These are the important concept you should clear about because all there are all theoretical debates or the mathematical calculation related to these nature of the function, and this is the part of our course. Now, today we will not go in detail of this topic. In inshallah, in future classes, we will cover the nature of the function because I need almost 2 hours or 3 hours to cover these topic is separately homothetic, homogeneous, and how you can prove that the function is quasi concave, or why you take always I think you have discussed the macroeconomic theory. So in macroeconomic theory, normally you take the log of the function. When you take linearizations, so you take log of that function. So there is the theoretical understanding or the concept why we take always the log of the functions. Clear? So because the log of the functions does not change the nature of the function. That's why there is another important concept related to the monotonic transformations. You are familiar about this one? Okay, what is the monotonic or these kind of the concept? No. ठीक है, तो वी विल डिस्कस इन डिटेल. तो ये बहुत डिटेल डिस्कशन है रिलेटेड टू द ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन ऑफ द फंक्शंस. So we will cover inshallah. And second, today actually we are focusing towards the some important axioms or the axiomatization of the Von-Neumann and the Morgenstern utility function. There are some important uh, assumptions, two important assumptions or axioms. What are these axioms? Number one is independent. Independent. I recall by capital I. And similarly, second one is uh, continuity. We recall by capital C. These are two important axioms that should be proved for utility function. Okay. Uh, Now the first one is that, for example, independent. So sometimes we write is independence. Independent or independence. Okay. What is the meaning of this one? For example, for any P Q R that belongs to a space of lottery LZ and alpha belongs to 0 and 1 if P at least good as Q implies that alpha P plus 1 minus alpha R alpha Q plus 1 minus alpha R. Okay. Now, what does it mean? I think you all are the familiar about the change of scale and the change of origin. Change of scale and change of origin. Okay. What is the meaning of the change of scale? Change of scale means कि whenever we, for example, add or multiply any constant or scalar values, so it does not affect your final outcome. Clear? So we talk about, okay, these are the change of scale and change of origin, and this is one important properties of the mean and something else we discussed. So here, for example, what we are apply this kind of the concept in case of the expected utility function or in case of the lottery here. Okay, for example, we have the three prospect or the three nature of the lottery P, Q, and R. Both belongs to the lottery space Z. For example, uh, when we multiply multiply lottery P and Q by alpha. Okay, alpha may be any values which lies between 0 and 1. So alpha P is still alpha Q. Alpha P and alpha Q. It means that after multiplying or with any number of the probabilities, the preference relation does not change. What does it mean? If I have selected lottery P over Q, clear? And if we multiply that number with any associated probability, so my preference relation does not change. Similarly, when we add and subtract any value in that preference relation, so again there is no change in my preference relation. I preferred the lottery P over Q. Why I am saying this statement? देखो, we know that के decision maker takes decision rationally. We started our objective from that point. So when you took या take decision rationality के साथ आप ले रहे हो, तो what does it means कि you are able to compare the which choice is better, which one is not, and you know that all the given informations, these are your given informations, and you can use all the given information better in the better way. Why? Because we talk about कि now actually you realize कि now this is the best lottery and this is the another kind of the lottery which is not best for you. You realize I told you this is not the kind of the random selection. You realize, whenever you realize, so it means that you are going to satisfy the properties of the completeness, comparability, transitivity, and so on, reflexivity. So these properties you already satisfy. These properties, when you satisfy, it means that you are a rational individual or the decision maker. Clear? So we started our debate from here. We are a rational individual and rationally we take a decision. And I told you that rationality, it does not mean you always prefer the more choice or the better outcome. Yani that choice which give you a better outcome, because there are the multiple factors here. I will discuss you in detail related to the continuity and lexicographic preferences. In case, for example, I have one choice of bundle, or let's say two nature of jobs here. So in that condition, may be possible the distance. will matter for me as compared to the salary? Depends on the consumer to consumer. Sometime I prefer that ke now there is, let's say, 30% raise in salary if I move towards another organization, but my preference is that that organization is better for me because it is nearest to my house and we just can walk to my office. Clear? So it means the distance matter for me. So I always prefer that choice of vendor. Clear? So here, that property of the consumer behavior is here that you are taking decision rationally. Why? That outcome, yani that job provides a more salary in terms of monetary benefits, but you are not preferring that one. So there is the possibility for the consumer is here. So always you take decision rationally. ठीक है, ये नहीं होता कि that choice provide the better outcome, just आपने उठाकर randomly select कर लिया. Clear? You consider for example, now the environment of the organization. Am I right? ठीक है, whenever you want to switch from one job to the another job, you always consider now I have spent the more time in that organization, so I am comfortable. There is no check and balance. There is no proper monitoring because now I am enjoying that job. Although the comparatively the salary package is less than the other one, that's why the people are not moving towards the in the private sector from the public sector organization. Because why? They are comfortable in the public sector organization. There is no check and balance. They feel that although the current we are sacrificing my recent income for my future income. In case of the private organizations, my present income will be higher than as compared to the public sector organization. But what I have objective that in future after retirement there is a certain benefit for me. So that's why I am sacrificing my present income today. So there is the behavior of the consumer. So अगर देखा जाए तो he should move towards the private sector, but they are not preferring the private sector. Why? Because of other incentive or the benefits here. Clear? So इसीलिए आपने देखा होगा कि normally whenever the public service commission is going to conduct the test, 10,000, 20,000 people are appearing, although they are the qualified and they are teaching in different private institute and the colleges and the universities, but they want to join that public sector university or the public sector organization because of the some incentive are there. Still, अब now, in future may be possible government decide to close the pension benefits, medical benefits. So in that condition, you can think about now it is not better for me because it's better I should increase my present income because in the future there is no benefit are associated with this job. Clear? There is possible. जैसे recently World Bank and IMF they are continuously emphasizing कि government should minimize the pensioner any burden of the pension and so on. So maybe possible in future the government introduce new kind of the formula in which that you don't have any kind of the pension in future. Clear? So it means it is not necessary always you take decision on the basis of the better outcome. ठीक है? You take decision on the basis of the rationality is here. ठीक? So now, so it means alpha p does not affect your choices. Clear? Similarly, when we add and subtract, add and subtract, right? So what does it means? After add and subtract, you will have alpha p plus 1 minus alpha r. It is preferred is alpha q plus 1 minus alpha r. Now what about the r is here? One important thing. We have three choice of lotteries. Clear? In case of the compound lottery or the simple lottery, we discussed that in previous class. What was the compound lottery? Through the compound lottery, we get value of the probabilities at which you have the same level of outcome that simple lottery provides you. यही हमने conclude किया था कि हमने क्या किया था कि we minimize or we drive यानी we selected a different combination of lottery or the convex combination of lottery in previous class कि we found कि भाई for example you have the $100 ठीक in case of the $100 through the simple lottery there is the possibility that you can win a $100, and similarly in case of the other lottery if you do not decide to play lottery one and you decide to play the another lottery, so we decide that there is the possibility or the 25% chance, the 35% chance to get a $100 payoff. हमने ये किया था and we then finally derived that कि I think that was the 37 point something percentage for $100 अगर तुम्हें याद होगा हमने प्रीवियस उसमें किया था तो हमने ये कहा था कि now we concluded that कि that is the probability 37.75 what was the value I don't know exact value क्या थी but at that value we have a same level of payoff $100 either we decide to play lottery one or lottery B हमने ये कहा था अच्छा फिर हमने कहा था कि now here if you have the lottery R what does it means कि हमने कहा कि भाई for example P Q R there are 3 lotteries यही हम decide कर रहे हैं and being a decision maker you have decided कि it is better for you clear so if you have the another third and fourth lottery still you prefer this one why because you have already selected this outcome क्योंकि देखो one important property is that consistency in case of the consumer behavior for example you are here and you decide to quit from this program due to any reason I told you that your behavior is not the consistent as per decision maker. Why? It means you didn't utilize the all pros and cons at the time of selecting this program or the PhD, and because you should know what constraint you may have faced during that program may be possible due to the job you cannot give proper time to your studies or maybe possible in future your other family engagement are here because of these family engagement you cannot spend the time so if you don't utilize these given information it means कि you are not a proper rational decision maker अब कोई क्वेश्चन है तो पूछ लो you can ask yes मैं फिर आगे मूव करूँ yes
So, sir, you have to be a rational decision maker to play this game, right? But what preferences हमारी होती हैं, चाहे हम एक prefer करें या दूसरा prefer करें, but it has to be informed preferences. And we are wanting to do this because हमारी जो payoff है वो हम चाहते हैं कि maximum ही हो.
देखो
Objective तो यही है ना.
पे ऑफ मैक्सिमम हो पॉइंट इज हियर कि आई एम सेइंग कि फॉर एग्जांपल let's say we take the example of the stock market for example ठीक है in case of the stock market you have realized कि भाई there is the probability to win the yeah to increase the price of index or the stock market of the PPL share so certain gas company and something else ABC clear and there is another kind of the preferences let's say in case of the probability के firm CDE there is possibility के may be possible its price go fast clear and you have the higher value of the P of there but being a rational individual you decide okay now we don't want to take the more risk clear because I told you that ultimately you think about that minimum of value of payoff in previous class I told you watch that lecture अगर तुम लोगों को याद होगा यही कहा था ना हमने we objective is that कि we have to minimize the worst scenario. Clear? That's why these preferences are called the maximum likelihood preferences. मैंने ये नाम दिया था उसको. Then I told you that कि another objective is that कि you have to minimize your dispersion. Dispersion को minimize करना है. Clear? What is the dispersion? Dispersion is that कि in that outcome or the prospect, if you have the lowest value of the dispersion, so that lottery will be more preferred as compared to other one. Clear? हमने यही कहा था, if you recall it, कि भाई lottery one is for example 1/3, 1/3 and 1/3. So there is zero dispersion here. Why? Because every outcome has same probability in that lottery. Clear? Maybe for example, it is the price lottery. It is the probability for price of firm A. It is the lottery for price of firm B. It is the lottery for price of firm C. Clear? So it means that I know that there is zero dispersion in to select that lottery. So on the basis of the dispersion, if you have this one, for example, it is another lottery Q, 1.99, for example, point 0, 0, 1 and 0, let's say. Okay, so now you can observe that there is highly dispersion in this lottery. Although I know that price to win firm A or is high, chance to get the firm A price. And for example, this one is for B and this one is for C. So average of this lottery is very low as compared to this one, but I am going to prefer this lottery. This lottery. Why? On the basis of the my understanding of the minimizing of the dispersion. Clear? तो यही ऑब्जेक्टिव था. तो अब मैं तुमसे जो ये कह रहा हूं कि if any additional possibility of the lottery, clear? Any additional possibility of the lottery, clear? Any change in, for example, let's say the value or the alpha or add and subtract of any combination of the lottery, my preference will not change. It is independent to change in origin and scale. So third option of the lottery or the another option of the lottery will not change my preferences, and I am independent. Clear? Why I told you? Because देखो, whenever you plot a utility function, clear? So always you rank different choices. If you recall the consumer theory, so in case of the consumer theory, if you know that in case of the consumer theory, for example, A is better than B. ठीक है, two choice of bundles है, right? So I know that the utility of A is better than utility of B. First of all, I will define the binary relation. These are the binary relations, yani comparison between two choices. Clear? So then we can decide that this outcome or this bundle of choice will provide the more utility as compared to the bundle B. So you have to define the binary relations. Ab now I am saying, clear? In case of, for example, behavior will not change. अगर तुम्हें याद हो कि बेसिक से बता दूं कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल वेन एवर यू प्लॉट इंडिफरेंस कर्व, ओके, तो it is for example let's say A and this one is B. Clear? Or level of utility keep constant. along this one. Okay, so we say that the level of utility keep constant here. If, for example, you plot this another kind of the indifference curve in this way, what does it mean?
They cannot intersect.
Never.
एक तो intersect तो नहीं कर सकता. What is actually the psychological understanding related to this one? देखो, first of all, this indifference curve behave represent your psychological behavior. Remember, your psyche of individual. Clear? What is the psyche of individual? Is that कि भाई अब हमने ये कहा कि भाई if it is smooth convex, right? Smooth convex. In that condition, it is kind of the Cobb-Douglas utility function when you have the smooth convex indifference curve. And if I weight more on x or a, so in this condition, my indifference curve shape will slightly change. How? Okay. So in this condition, what happened? It means A comparatively preferred B. How I will write the utility function for this one? Here, if you have the utility function x alpha and y beta, right? Or A and B I have selected here, A and B, for example, right? So both choice of bundles have same weight in my utility function. I equally prefer A and B. Clear? Up now, in this condition, although the utility function is convex or Cobb-Douglas utility function, but I have, for example, A alpha, B beta, and here alpha greater than beta. And similarly, again, what does it means? A and B. So I can write that yes, X A alpha B beta. So beta greater than alpha, right? Up, what I told you that कि तुम लोगों ने माइक्रो वन वो सॉरी एमएस में किससे पढ़ा था? मुझसे पढ़ा था, तो ये तो बताया था मैंने, तो ये सब चीजें बताई नहीं है। और किसने मुझसे पढ़ा होता? ये सब तो मैंने कंज्यूमर थ्योरी में सारी चीजें करवाई हैं सब डिटेल में। तो अब अगर फॉर एग्जांपल
हमने सदमा से पढ़ा था।
अच्छा, मैं अपने रिजर्व वर्ड जो है ना, मैं रिजर्व कर रहा हूँ बस, कुछ नहीं कह रहा। ठीक है
मिस्टर, लेकिन ये समझ आ रहा है, जैसे फ्लैटर आपका जो इंडिफरेंस टर्म है, यू प्रेफर वन ओवर द अदर।
एग्जैक्टली। तो ये अब अल्टीमेटली अब बताने का मकसद ये कि देखो मुझे यहाँ रुकना पड़ रहा है ना, वरना मैं आगे मूव कर जाता। सॉरी, मैं वो नहीं कह रहा, लेकिन अब देखो क्यों बता रहा हूँ। अब आई टोल्ड यू द वन इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग इज द मोनोटोनिक ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन ना। क्लियर? उसके ऊपर मैं आना चाह रहा हूँ। अब मैं तुमसे ये कह रहा हूँ कि लेट्स से मैंने कहा कि भाई इट इज काइंड ऑफ द बिहेवियर ऑफ द कंज्यूमर, ऐसे ही है ना भाई, ये साइकोलॉजिकल बिहेवियर हुई है ना। नाउ इन योर चॉइस ऑफ बंडल्स you weight more to A as compared to the B, and here vice versa, and similarly you assign equal weight to A and B. clear बिल्कुल. It is kind of the psychological representation of a consumer, right? अब now I assumed कि भाई this is kind of the indifference map or the space of indifference map, space of IC curve. Clear? Up in this space of IC curve, what happened if we change? If we change, for example, indifference curve, move the indifference curve upper side, right? So that is my assumption is here. कि my curvature of indifference curve should not change. Okay, so it means that if it does not change, so that is called the monotonic transformation of the indifference curve or the utility function, because every indifference curve is associated with utility function, or utility function is associated, sorry, with every indifference curve. So if we monotonic have a monotonic transformation of the utility function, so the curvature of indifference curve should not be changed here. अगर वो change हो गया तो it means कि it is not the monotonic transformation. So what, how you can check mathematically? Mathematically you can check through the slope of indifference curve, यानी MRS, marginal rate of technical substitution. Exactly. When we move through that ray, वो रे जरूरी नहीं है इट इज अ 45 डिग्री लाइन, रिमेंबर. वो रे फॉर एग्जांपल इट्स स्टार्ट फ्रॉम ओरिजिन और इट इज काइंड ऑफ दिस वन. सो अगेन along this ray my slope will not change, same ratio से बढ़ेगा, slope will not change. But if you have change in curvature of the indifference curve, your MRS will not keep constant. Clear? So in this condition, so that's why I'm saying, now come to the point is here. Clear? Any change in my option or the lottery will not change my behavior. Okay, my decision. Okay? So change of it is my, yani my selection of lottery according to the Von-Neumann and the Morgenstern utility function. So whenever we defined a Von-Neumann and the Morgenstern utility function, we assume that our choices of prospect or the lottery are independent with change in scale and change in origin. Clear? So finally, we can write this one. So finally, alpha p plus 1 minus alpha r, that is our conclusion. Conclusion. Okay. And So if we have mix of lotteries and add another third lottery, third lottery, then it will not change. Then will not change the preference relation, that is okay. Okay, will not change the preference relation. Up now next is the continuity. Second is continuity. This small change in value of probability value of probabilities for lottery change preference relations, because lexicographic, because continuity rules out lexicographic preferences. Okay, lexicographic preferences. For example, P R is strictly better than P preferred on Q implies that Q and ऐसे निशान होता है भाई, not possible इसका मतलब होता है, not possible. Okay, it means not possible, like this one, इस तरह करना. Okay, not possible. Not possible what? Q is preferred on P. There is alpha belongs to 0 and 1 such that Q
ये E उल्टा है ये।
indifferent बता रहा हूँ, Q and alpha P plus 1 minus alpha R is, and this is addition of two vectors of lottery, two vector lotteries, two vectors lotteries. Yes. Okay. अब देखो, first of all, look at the statement here. Is here. The small change in value of the probability for lottery, it does not change the preference relations because the continuity rules out the lexicographic preferences. Okay. And lexicographic preferences means के discontinuous preferences. ठीक है, first of all note, we will discuss in detail कि what is the lexicographic preferences. Okay, lexicographic means discontinuity in the preferences. uh, Very basic example of the preferences. For example, let's say on the one axis you have a composite commodity. What is the composite commodity? The bunch of different commodity. And the another on another axis you will have, for example, time to spend or visit for dialysis. Clear? Being a diabetic patient or the dialysis patient, kidney patient. So in that conditions, your preference relations with respect to the dialysis will be lexicographic or the discontinuous preferences. Why you will not have a trade-off with that composite commodity, bunch of the commodity with respect to that time for dialysis. Why? Because it is a need for your survival. So you can, if you require, for example, 2 hours for dialysis or the two visit for dialysis in a week, clear? So you have to spend or you have to visit 2 times. There is no change or the sacrifice either, and even you cannot increase that number of dialysis with respect to the increase in your income. Clear? So this is one basic example. So in that condition, your preference relation are lexicographic or discontinuous. Yes.
Sir, so we can say in simple language that they are not substitutes of each other.
Yeah, they are not substitute.
You
Although it is the part of your bundle of choices, but these are not substitute for each other. Clear? And for example, in some case, they may be a substitute. Let's say I told you previously, okay, if you have two option of the job, clear? What kind of the job you preferred the distance more as compared to other one. So in that condition, your leisure or the time matter for you, so you are not willing to sacrifice your time, okay, although there is the incentive to increase or that there probability to increase your salary in that organization, in other organization, but you are not moving because of your time distance or the traveling time. Clear? Right? So depends on you. ठीक? So that is take the example of the doctors. Sometimes most of the doctors they are engaged 12 hours in a day to earn some amount. They don't have the time for their leisure even. Yes. Clear? So it means that the money, the income is preferable as compared to their leisure. Clear? Although they can spend the some time in the club and something else, or for playing anything, or for means ke enjoy with family, but they are not spending. Their objective is earn to more and more income. Clear? So depends on you. ठीक? So in that conditions they will not sacrifice. So there is the possibility, but one important thing is that whenever we talk about a utility function or the existence of the utility function, note down that our preference relation should not be lexicographic. If our preferences are lexicographic or discontinuous preference, so it means you cannot define a utility function because there will break in your binary relations. In short, आपकी बाइनरी रिलेशंस ब्रेक हो जाएंगी, ठीक है, एंड तो इन दैट कंडीशन यू कैन नॉट प्रूव और देयर विल बी नो एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ द यूटिलिटी फंक्शन इन केस ऑफ द lexicographic preferences. So that's why we have to rule out the lexicographic preferences to derive any utility function. Either it is the Von-Neumann utility function or the simple utility function case of the certainty, you have to rule out the lexicographic preferences. उसको आपको rule out करना पड़ेगा. Clear? So now the come to the point is here we set that P strictly preferred Q and Q strictly preferred R. Clear? These three choices again, choice of lotteries as well as, and similarly we preferred Q implies that P is at least good as Q. That's why I'm preferring Q. P, right? ये possibility होगी. Clear? So it means that that's why there is the possibility कि P strictly preferred on Q. At least better. उससे कम से कम उससे बेहतर होगा या उससे ज्यादा होगा. Clear? Similarly, and not possible. Q is at least good as P. It is not possible. The case. Clear? And similarly, there is existence of some alpha which lies between 0 and 1 such that when we assign that alpha with our prospects or the lotteries, let's say alpha p 1 minus alpha r, right? Similarly, clear? So what does it mean? This is the lowest for highest level of prospect or the lottery, highest level, right? And this one is the lowest level. Am I right? Lowest level. So what does it mean? If we have the convex combination or the linear combination of the lowest and the highest, so you will be indifferent between the average of that one. That is the average which lies between highest and the lowest value. of the prospect. So when you take the linear combination of this one, so you will be indifferent between this combination and this one.
ये convex
Yeah, that is called the linear convex combination of the lottery, or which is also called the compound lottery as well. ठीक है? So that will you will be indifferent. So if you rule out this one, you are not indifferent. It means that there is no continuity in your expected utility or the von Neumann utility function. So convexity should be there to prove the continuity of utility function.
So, sir, आपका मतलब ये कि when we take the average of this, it should belong to this set.
Yani
Otherwise,
you will be indifferent between. Yes, how you can write this one, for example, let's say one important thing. Let's say this one. For example, x, and this is f of x. Right? We draw a function like this one. What does it mean if we took this is, for example, x1, this is x2, right? This one. And this is your average. X bar average हो गया. अब now this is your fx1 and this one is your this is your fx2, right? So now to this example here, and this is like this one. Clear? What happened? Look at this one. This is the value of fx2. Clear? This is fx1 and this one is fx2. And what about this one? It is fx x bar. Clear?
yes.
This one is fx x bar. I am marking here. Fx x bar. Clear?
Yes.
And what about this one? It is actually the linear combination.
Yes.
Right? This one is the linear combination is what? That is actually it is alpha x1, right, plus 1 minus alpha x2. Clear? This is kind of the linear combination. So what I am saying, continuity implies that linear combination means it has the two extreme value of the function. Clear? And you prefer the middle of that value as compared to, yani you are different if you have this kind of the value. so you are indifferent. Am I right? So you are indifferent between these two values. If you are not indifferent, so it means that you don't have the continuity in the function. So there is a possibility of the discontinuity in the function. When? Why? Because every function, I told you that every function is derived from your preference relation. What are your preference relation? Your preference relations are, we told that convex whatever. So if you have the convex preference relation, so in that condition it is basically called you are Cobb-Douglas utility functions. Clear? So that's why I'm saying there is the possibility. There should, if it is not the kind of the case, so it means you have the discontinuities here. Clear बिल्कुल? That's why I'm saying. Clear बिल्कुल? Okay. Now move forward. So it means conclusion we have here. If there is, if there are strict preferences, if there are strict preferences, then continuity implies that continuity implies that weighted average weighted average of lowest and highest lottery that is alpha p plus 1 minus alpha r, the decision maker will be indifferent indifferent between r, sorry, between q and weighted average p. Now we will have another concept of uh, W's theorem, and that we will discuss in coming class. Okay? And after this, we will have Bernoulli numbers or the Bernoulli utility function. Clear?
सर आप लैंग्वेज कोई और ही सिखा रहे हैं हमें
नहीं नहीं नहीं
हाँ
नहीं नहीं
हम
नहीं
माइक्रो नहीं कर रहे हम एडवांस लैंग्वेज
नहीं 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 लिटरली
लैंग्वेज है
सीख ले वाकई में काम आएगा ये दोबारा नहीं पढ़ेंगे ये लोग आप
चले हमें भी कुछ sophisticated
हाँ ये दोबारा नहीं पढ़ेंगे लिटरली ये बस ये एंड है जो पढ़ना है पढ़ लो बस ये उसके बाद तो ना थीसिस में सीखोगे ना किसी में सीखोगे। ठीक है बहरहाल,
Thank you,
थैंक यू
sir.
सो मच यार।
Alright.
बाय इंशाल्लाह, लेट्स सी इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास। अल्लाह हाफिज।
Allah Hafiz.
Thank you.